I've got a fun little video in store today. Well, I don't know how small it will turn out, but that's fine. Watch at your own pace if you want to. Sometimes our brains are very blocky and refuse to let us write what we want, how we want. So we end up staring at a blank page for months. I'm here to walk you through my own personal steps to writing a scene you've been having trouble with. It won't be a perfect end result. This is not a guide to a finished piece, as that would be impossible for me to hand to you. That sort of thing takes their own individual dedication and time. But you should be able to end up with something, whether that be a single phrase, or bullet points, or a full base draft. Anything is better than a blank page, so I will do my best to assist that far. If you follow my Tumblr or DeviantArt, you may have seen today's topic. I was just browsing my works for motivation a little while ago, and I came across this particular one again. Now, the advice is for writers, but I understand that not all of us like to read. That is, some of us process spoken information better, and won't have time to focus on tiny little words on a niche little site. And so, I decided to narrate and, at the end, add little scene drawings to make this post more entertaining and accessible. If you would like to take this at your own pace, there will be links below leading to both the DeviantArt and Tumblr versions of the written post. I will be following along exactly. I'm not going to recreate something I have nothing more to add to. So don't feel like you're missing much in terms of information if you choose one over another. Remember, this is only my typical method to deal with difficult scenes. If you have your own, please feel free to leave it in the comments, or even make your own video, and let me know. It's good for writers to share information amongst their kind. Now, let us begin our journey. First, let's start where you left off. Maybe they're exploring the dark woods, trying to find their lost cat, and they come across the beast. Great, battle scene time. The first thing you need to ask yourself is what you'll get out of this battle. The main points, or plot twists, if there are any. For example, maybe the cat turned into a beast, and they only realize as it lies dying. Maybe one of the main characters die. Maybe they find a key in the beast's skull. Maybe they spare the beast, and it becomes their friend. Maybe the beast just dies, and that's it. I'm not judging. There's a plethora of reasons you'd do anything in stories. Most scenes should have some sort of lead, whether it be a key, or death, or a kiss, or whatever, depending on what sort of story you're cooking. But it's up to you. So, figure out your main point. For simplicity's sake, I'll go with, they kill the beast, they find a key. Finding the key will be a clear lead to the next move. But for now, let's focus on the current scene. You're going to want to order the events. Writing scenes like this off the bat can be pretty hard, so let's just go with what we know first. Part A. Rosie encounters a beast. Part B. She fights the beast and kills it. Part C. She finds a key in its skull. Part D. She questions the key, then goes off to seek reason for it. I'm not joking when I say a lot of my scenes start out sort of like this. Now, to build upon this beauty, we have to dig into each segment. Let's start with part A. What sort of beast is it? A slimy tentacle monster? A catfish pirate? A deformed bear? Dracula? Your decision will affect the entire scene, so really think about what you choose. Monsters are super fun, so be creative if your story allows it. I'll pick a duck-faced spider-bear hybrid. What does that do? It might help to draw your monster if it's a struggle to think it through. Here's mine. As you think about their appearance, see how you can use it to their advantage or flaw. You might even already have ideas for certain moves during their fight, or what could be the fatal blow. We'll talk more on that later, though. Next on part A, how did she encounter it? Was she up in the trees, trying to check the sun's direction, when suddenly it barreled into her and threw her down the tree? Did she trip over a log, only to realize it wasn't a log, but an angry treant? Is the forest cursed, and monsters just keep chasing after her for no reason? Maybe she's holding a tracker, and the evil villain is sending the monsters after her. It's good to think about in the long run. For now, though, let's just stick with, she bumped into the beast. But try to make it fancy. What was her reaction to bumping into it? Why would she bump into it? Maybe she wasn't looking where she was running. and kept bumping into trees, but then one tree was actually a monster. This monster is clearly very fluffy. It would probably make a good blanket. So let's make that a clear point. So for now we've got Rosie was running along the forest without probably watching where she was going when she bumped into a tree, but it was fluffy and warm and beating, not a tree. It was a bear, duck, spider beast. Ooh, slap slap. Slap slapping, the beast slapped her in her confused daze, because who wouldn't be surprised if a tree was actually a duck-bear hybrid? This happens to be the perfect initiation to begin battling. On to part B. She fights the beast and kills it. This is absolutely the hardest part. It'll take careful consideration and pacing and, oh, whatever, let's just slap in every little action thing we can think of, even if you think it isn't good, even if it's just little phrases or actions or fancy words or teeny tiny little segments you aren't sure about, it's good, just do it. So let's list out a few points together. Beast slaps her in a confusion daze and she hits her back against a tree. Much pain. Beast snaps its flappy duck beak and hunks a bunch, muddling her brain. Rosie throws rocks at it. Rosie somehow breaks off its spider legs, unbalancing it. Beast uses its spider legs to crawl everywhere and be very agile and hard to fend off. Beast stabs her with its stabby legs. Maybe an injury from being slapped around. Rosie tries to run, but it's always there. Rosie smacks its beak, very annoyed. Beast forces her to the dirt and pummels her with its stabby paws. Rosie evades its stabbies because the green drippy stuff look like venom. Venom touches nature's stuff and makes it wither. Beast lets out a ballad that shakes the earth and topples trees. Rosie avoids the trees to not die. Rosie scrambles to get up, and the most important thing is to somehow open its skull. So plunge a very strong stick through its eye that tears out the key, or somehow trick it to stab itself with a venom spider leg, and it withers and turns to bones and ashes, and yay, you get the key. I like the second option with that one, so I'll go with that, but it's always good to list out your options. So I basically just took parts of the forest and parts of the beast's body and natural instincts of someone who is facing death, and adding some creativity, threw together a bunch of possibilities. It might take some practice, but once you're in the flow and have some experience listing this stuff, you'll get the hang of it in no time. Thoughts tend to be short and snappy and quick-paced scenes, so be careful not to go into a whole monologue about their past experiences, but you should absolutely show some reasoning to the complex things they do if necessary, and leave the monologuing for when they're not being killed. Now, let's order them into something that sort of makes sense. It varies depending on what you want, so see if you can make your own unique battle scene out of this list. Beast slaps her in a confusion daze and she hits her back against a tree. Much pain. Rosie scrambles to get up, maybe an injury from being slapped around. Tree plus black plus sudden slap equals pain. This might be a good time to mention if they already have a flaw like having weak bones or an old injury, but if it isn't your intention to incapacitate them and you want to be realistic, have a reason for them not to instant die without being OP. Maybe she was just slapped into bushes and got a little scrapes or a twisted ankle. Maybe she had a plushy backpack that took most of the impact. Remember where your character gets injured too, since pain usually hurts for a while and it's good to add that in wherever needed now and later. It can even drive the story along at times, like a life-threatening blow. Beast lets out a bellow that shakes the earth and topples trees. Rosie avoids the trees to not die. Rosie tries to run, but it's always there. Beast uses its spider legs to crawl everywhere and be very agile and hard to fend off. Venom touches nature stuff and makes it wither. She notices here and thinks, oh no, that is bad, can't let that touch me. Remember, no monologuing, just quick thoughts. Rosie throws rocks at it, but misses because it's very agile. Beast forces her to the dirt and pummels her with its stabby paws. Beast snaps its flappy duck beak and honks a bunch, muddling her brain. Rosie smacks its beak, very annoyed. Beast slaps her with its stabby legs, or tries. Let's not kill her off just yet if we're deciding on venom. Maybe she uses a plank of wood to save herself last second. Rosie evades its stabbies because the green drippy stuff looks like venom, and it is venom, so don't let it touch her. And we're going to get rid of this one, but it was an option. Rosie somehow breaks off its spider legs unbalancing it. And we're deleting that because the idea next is a lot better, but maybe earlier one of the rocks she threw can unbalance it a little bit, and it jumps on her to attack closer because it feels threatened. And lastly, Rosie somehow tricks it to stab itself with its venomous spider legs, and it withers and turns to bones and ashes, and yay, you get the key. She tricks it by deflecting it with something strong, like a boulder behind her, and she got out of the way just as it does a slash at her, and it bounces perfectly into itself. And just like that, ordering and expanding on every part, you've got yourself an entire fight. Obviously, it isn't as easy as counting to 10 and opening a pot to a finished piece. I obviously didn't come up with all this on the spot. If you just take 10 minutes, or better yet, an hour, you'll get somewhere. All you need is the base, and to expand upon the base, and you'll be fine. Part C. She finds a key in its skull. Keys are shiny, and if it's daytime, maybe some light can twinkle off as it falls, or she could just notice it because who wouldn't notice a key trapped in bones? Either way, she picks it up, as you do, unless you want an eagle to swoop in and take it, in which case Rosie will have to chase after it and climb a tree and try to take it back from its nest and blah-de-blah. But Rosie doesn't feel like moving anymore after the fight, so let's go with an easy option for now. She might have to wrench it out of the bones, but it's fine, she's already dirty from the battle. So, what's the key look like, Is it rusty and old, or fleshy but firm and warm as suited for being trapped in brains for so long? Or is it oozing in the same venom, and she has to wipe it off with special fabric only trolls deeper in the forest are capable of making, or throw it in a lake to purify it? Maybe it's short, or missing half, that you have to find somewhere along the journey. What does it unlock? Rosie won't know now, obviously, but you better have an idea, or there'd be no point to it in the first place. Maybe this entire journey was in her mind, and she's finding parts of a key to unlock her memory, which will be a door to her childhood house. Maybe it's a master key to the villain's castle. Maybe it was accidentally baked in a cookie the beasts ordered from a special fish-headed cat-run bakery, and the little workers will be scrambling around to find the key and be oh so grateful that Rosie brings it back, that they hail her as king of fish-headed cats. You never know, except you kind of have to, so please have some sort of idea, even if it's small. And that's practically all I can do in this part, so next we're on Part D. She questions the key, then goes off to seek reason for it. Assuming she collects the key, what are her thoughts? It's all down to her personality. Let's say Rosie loves keys, and she has a whole collection at home, and she loves shiny things. She'll probably squeak at the sight of it and act very excited. She snatched up the key and chirped her glee, and after a quick inspection with gleaming eyes, she tucked it safely in her pocket alongside trinkets for the seaside. Because, obviously she was at the seaside before all this. Or whatever else she was doing. It's your call. It's their personality. It's an optional connection, but a valid one nonetheless. Careful though, if she carries too much, she might get weighed down and drown. In her case, she doesn't really think too hard on the key. Maybe she's already fought plenty of monsters and gotten a nice treasure trove of stuff. Maybe she's an airhead. Either way, the obstacles are gone now, so she can go off and do what she was doing before, albeit a little more cautious, provided she learns from experience. If there's a clear indicator of what the key is for, or if the character was actively seeking it out, that'll obviously give a different outcome. Maybe they'll turn back the way they came, for car keys, or head for the town of Blue Oak, for Blue Key, if that is already in their knowledge database. Or they'll ask the next person they see and get guided or tricked. And so the story will continue, and you just have to repeat that, the same process, over and over and over again. Finally, let's put this baby together. Let's start simple for now, and just slap together this monstrosity with whatever little stuff we can think of in the moment, and some rubber tents. We can build it up later. Or you can. I'm never going to look at this ever again after I'm finished. Rosie's Magical Adventure! Rosie ran along the forest without properly watching where she was going when she bumped into a tree. But it was fluffy and warm and beating, not a tree. It was a bear duck spider beast. Fish, that definitely shouldn't exist. The beast slapped her in her daze, and her back slammed against the tree. Despite being in pain, she scrambled to get up. She staggered, feeling the pierce in her ribs, the ache in her feet, the scream in her head that told her to run. It was drowned out under the beast's bellow. The earth shook, and trees toppled one after another. Rosie spun on her heel and ran, avoiding the trees that twisted her path. Even when she thought she had ran it, it was always a step behind, a step above, a step ahead. Its spindly legs granted it an agility she couldn't imagine matching. Not only that, wherever the ends of those legs touched, an iridescent liquid spurted out, withering blooming manes and wilting once proud trunks in an instant. She shivered. She couldn't let it touch her. Realizing that her flee, running, escaping, Whenever you can't think of the right words in the moment, just think of whatever is the closest and use that until you find the right word. Or you might just waste an hour racking your brains when you could just keep writing. Rosie out.
Was futile. She pounced into a rolling stop by a mound of rocks. It disoriented the beast for but a moment as she scooped a handful of rocks and hurled them at it. Most missed, or melted into its ragged coat, but a few landed directly against its uppermost legs. It gave an unnerved honk and flung itself at her, forcing her to the dirt, pummeling her with monstrous paws and claws that snapped her skin as she raised her hands to defend her face. It honked. She grimaced, her vision blurred and brain muddled with every honk. On impulse, one hand shot out to smack its flapping beak. Its pupils contorted, enraged by her sacrilege, and its spindle legs shot towards her. Just in time she rolled free and pulled herself up, evading the blows that scattered poison over melting green. One hit went into a boulder. The boulder didn't budge. It was ineffective. It sparked an idea in Rosie, but she wasn't sure. So she waited until it happened again, and again it hit a boulder and bounced without damaging the boulder. She danced her way around the clearing, then stopped directly in front of the boulder, facing the beast with her lips twisted into a wry smile. The stabby leg slashed her way, but she ducked out of the way at the last second. Unable to redirect its blow, the leg bounced off the boulder and went directly into the beast's skull. The venom was quick to engulf the beast. Its skin vanished like the trees. It was only bones, skeletal structure remained, and it fell before her. If you still aren't sure how to write a part, break it down even further, even if it looks stupid, and even if I look stupid saying it right now. Keep breaking down everything as much as you need until everything is plain to see and there are no misunderstandings. Then add on and keep adding on until you eventually understand. Streams of sunlight,
Because a lot of the trees died, so now there's some light in the forest,
glinted off a surface lodged in the bones. Realizing the rusty old metal to be a key, she snatched it up and chirped her glee, and after a quick inspection with gleaming eyes, she tucked it safely in her pocket alongside trinkets from the seaside. Then she turned and limped her way back home, wondering why she came in the first place, as blood trailed after her.
The end! It isn't perfect, far from it, but it doesn't matter. It's a start. You can work with it. You can keep going. Finish the chapter by repeating this process over and over, then go back and polish it when you've let the experience sink in a bit. Who knows where you'll go? And that concludes Rosie's tips for writing difficult scenes. Remember, don't think too hard or too seriously for the first draft. You aren't meant to produce some glorious piece immediately. That comes with polishing garbage. So aim for garbage first, improvement second, and perfection third. Have fun writing! Bye-bye!